We'll reconvene to open session. There was no action taken in closed session. Can we all stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 5, public comment. Please note that the meeting is recorded and live streamed at www.crpusd.org. Members of the public are entitled to speak on matters not on the agenda at this time. Please state your name and address and keep your comments concise, brief, and limited to 5 minutes or less. A maximum of 20 minutes is allotted to each subject not appearing on the agenda. The Brown Act restricts the board from considering any item not appearing on posted agenda. Members of the public are entitled to speak to any item on the agenda either immediately after the item is called by the board president or following background information provided related to the item at the board president's discretion. Each person is entitled to speak on any agenda item only once at any meeting. Although board members may seek additional information, participation in debate on any item before the board shall be limited to members of the board. Please fill out a comment card, which will be given to the board president, indicating the item you wish to address. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per individual, 20 minutes per item. Wendy, do we have any comments? Is there any comment in the audience? Item 6, presentations. Item 7, communications, board member reports and correspondence. Andrew?
I'd just like to mention there's been a lot of training of our certified employees this past summer, and I attended a few of them, the RTI, early in June. And, some of these have been paid and others have been volunteers, and I just want to thank the teachers who participated in those. I've seen a lot of just a lot of energy in the subject matter. I'm looking forward to attending some of these classes when the teachers are implementing what's been what they were taught. And I just want to again thank our certified personnel.
Excited to get everything going here.
I'd just comment that heard a lot of positive feedback from our little house at the fair. That's good PR piece for us, and also our radio spots. People have been hearing them and commenting about the positive things. That's good.
I'll pass. And I will pass.
Just want to replace Mark certified with certificated.
Thank you.
A little surprised that I didn't have that.
Beginning of the year.
Certificate.
Item 7D, Chief Business Officials Report.
So the county treasurer's report was posted online. Our interest rate for the last quarter ended June 30th was 0.8%. Now that the state is deferring less money, that's good because it means we'll get a little more interest income. ready
I forgot to get the little clicker out. Having a rough night today. So, quick update, we'll get to Ann's pictures, just as a reminder. Technology High School is at Sonoma State University in Salazar Hall. We're happy to give anybody a tour if they would like. The original camp, well, once we moved into Salazar Hall, we were housing 15,000 square feet per the original agreement. The amended and extended agreement includes an additional 2,719 square feet, so that's what we wanted to update the board on tonight for a total of 17,719. And that allowed us to add 3 classrooms. So we collaboratively designed the classrooms with Sonoma State. They took complete responsibility for all of the drawings, all of the costs, all of the construction, and are in the process of completing that up to and including furnishings, but apparently not the cabinets. Not the cabinets. So again, we really would love to give anybody a tour if you'd like to take a look or just go over on your own. So this is what one of the classrooms will look like. This is one of the, if you want to just come up to the podium, Dr. Manager, feel free, come up to the podium, it's okay.
What classroom is
You
it?
can describe as better than I can the 3 rooms.
Well, prior to what you see there, that whole space was one of their university development departments. It was actually broken off into, I think, 5 different office spaces, and they opened up the entire area. Now we have 2 very large classrooms on the right-hand side, and then I think there's another. Where's the other picture? That is the view of one of our classrooms, and then right up here I guess that's from the hallway.
You took the pictures.
Yeah,
I went in
your order. That's looking from the inside of Salazar Hall into one of our classrooms, and that's the entire space.
That's
both
2
classrooms.
rooms there.
That's both rooms. This beam piece you see here is actually a sound curtain, and the great thing with that is that we can actually open it up, and if we have a large gathering, we can open those spaces up, and could be a large meeting there. But it's really exciting to see all that. I guess that's it.
That was all.
And today, just to update you, we went through there today, and we're actually installing floors. So it's every day it looks more and more like a classroom, and it's really exciting. And we've been told that everything will be all systems go by next Tuesday, and we'll have our volunteers come through there. And next week it's going to be full systems with 3 new classroom spaces. So thank you.
Yesterday I had the pleasure of hanging out with about 15 or so tech high students, and all very excited about new classrooms. Wanted to know if I knew about them. Said, well, as a matter of fact, yeah, I'm aware. That was pretty fun. All right.
Good. We paid the first annual installment. So.
7C, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services report.
Well, I'd like to invite Dr. Mims back up to speak just briefly about the Boston accreditation at Technology High School. They were given a 6-year, which is significant, and in addition to everything else they did last year, including sports and distinguished school, I think their API went up too, but we're waiting to see if the state figures out what's happening with these scores before we publish like that. So
Well, Dr. Haley and members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Kaufman, CEO Barron, as I watched the new Tech High emerge alongside the old Tech High, I just wanted to take a moment to extend my gratitude to all of you for your unwavering trust, your support, and your confidence, and in many cases, your patience. From the onset of my tenure as principal of Tech High, and where we find ourselves positioned to embark upon the 2013-2014 school year. When I first started as principal, we only had 209 students. And with the additional support systems and our shift towards equity and access for all students, and also the addition of CIF sports, we're poised to open next week with nearly 300 students. And that is really something I'm very, very proud of and very excited about. And with all that, the one thing that we have always kept our eye on is maintaining the standard of academic excellence at Tech High. And those are reflected in our California Distinguished School Award, and also retaining a full 6-year accreditation from the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. With so much that we've accomplished in such a short period of time, I'm always mindful of the people who were the driving force and have put their trust in me and my staff. So again, thank you all, and it's really an exciting time to be a Titan, and I look forward to working with all of you as we endeavor to enhance and enrich the lives and outcomes of our students. So thank you.
Thank you.
So, can you speak to how rare it is to get a 6-year with, one visit in that time frame? Is that pretty rare?
Statistically, I don't know. I mean, it's very solid. Do you want to speak to? I don't.
Yeah, it's
I don't
not
like how-
uncommon.
Yeah.
We would expect, I don't know where we're at with your cycle.
Next year. Woohoo!
We would expect that Rancho Cotati will get a 6-year.
Okay.
I think the 6 years is what you want.
Right.
And then within that, you want the commendations that you're on the right track and doing the right thing. Often you'll see there'll be a 6-year, but a lot of conditions for the 3-year review.
Right.
That, okay, you have a 6-year, but when we come back in 3 years, we want to see this list of items.
EFG.
But we would expect that Rancho Cotati High School would get a 6-year as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And in terms of item 2, professional development planning, in front of you, you will see a paper labeled draft, actually a series of papers labeled draft that has our professional development calendar and our assessment calendar for the year. Just I think you can note that we have training pretty much every day, and sometimes multiple trainings on those days. So prior to adding the 16th and the 19th, we had a full complement of Common Core and response to intervention aligned professional development taking place, and we've been able to enhance it by selecting closed text reading as a strategy for supporting Common Core, and looking to bring the mathematics planning that we've been doing in Common Core alignment to, again, add some strategies around mathematical discourse, language, writing, using math as an opportunity to get students thinking out loud and thinking about their thinking, and then relatedly, problem-solving skills. So I think we're in really great space to start the Common Core implementation. The math 6th through 12th math team has been meeting on their own throughout the summer. The RCHS English department has been meeting on its own throughout the summer, and so they've got a pretty solid foundation for bringing to the kind of next steps in the long-term plan, but also just coming in and using the closed text reading strategies to move that forward together. And Tech High teachers will be joining clearly on the 16th and 18th. What's not listed in here is the Christina Maher consulting that goes on during the year, and the Aventa and A+, the blended learning support that we get during the year from their consultants. Also, just another thing to mention, August 6th, 7th, and 8th, and August 15th and 16th, we've had our special ed assistants and English learner assistants part of the group of teachers, and that's been really neat to have the opportunity for everybody to get the same training about the materials we're using for response to intervention and walk to read. So that I wanted to take pictures of them because it was, it's been the first time in my career where we've had EL assistants and special ed assistants with teachers for 5 days of training. So
Where will the secondary mathematics and the mathematical discourse training take place?
in room N13 at Rancho. And the one that's going on this week is definitely, if you want to stop by, Pat Callahan's the man who's done all the Common Core Standards alignment for the state of California. So he's, and working nationally, he's working in New York as well. So he's in there with our people, and I've been able to be a curriculum voyeur like I like to be because I've been doing other things, but I hear it's going okay at Rancho.
Curriculum voyeur.
I know. We all have our passions. Professional development. So.
Questions? All right. Item 7D, superintendent's report.
Item number 1, we're in the anticipatory phase. We hope that our enrollment trends are on the upswing. We have a pretty good handle on the students that are going to be at Tech High. I think we have a pretty good handle on the students that are going to be here at Tech Middle School, with the caveat that it continues to grow and has grown throughout the summer. As much outreach as we try to do, there are still families that don't necessarily, that aren't reached, and then come in and want to enroll. On a fairly regular basis, even at the elementary level, we're juggling with full class sizes in different places and seeing if we can steer new families to openings at other places, while at the same time not wanting to lose a single student. So ultimately, if we have to create a new section or do what it takes, it makes more sense to keep hanging on to every student that we can. So in the last week, we opened up 4 new sections here that wrote a little bit of a logjam in terms of enrollment. So we had a waiting list, and that fairly much depleted the waiting list. At times, it's also not bad to have a waiting list. Letting people know that we're working on it, but for the moment we need to put you on a waiting list. Sometimes helps drive up that excitement and what people want. All along, we're trying to compare, the impact on Lawrence Jones and the number of students that will be there, and trying not to double count kids, and that is a challenge. We get the principals together. We got together throughout the summer. It even happens at the elementary level. We'll have a parent that'll have a kid enrolled at one elementary, but think, just in case I could go over here, well, that happens. But if I don't like what I get here, then I'll just come back because they'll take me back here. So this is the period of time where we're really trying to weed out any potential double enrollment situations, which you think technology would help us prevent, but it doesn't always help prevent it if it's in a pile of paper versus already entered in our students' database. So we'll see. We get back together at our September board meeting. We'll give you an update on what actually occurred on the first few weeks of school. But we hope to see the trend go up. Looking into the far future, if you've been on Southwest Boulevard and Adrian, you see townhomes being built over there. We continue to get updates from City Ventures on what the likelihood of how soon they might be able to build houses, and finish out our contract with them for the property on Keyser, where Brookfield Homes is at. Probably Brookfield's pretty clear by the summer of 2015 that's the latest they would see them breaking ground out there. For the most part, the sewer log jam appears to be, I keep saying that, has been broken. Unfortunately, the sewer log jam still is impacting Keyser property because that's scheduled for a later phase. So we'd like to cooperatively work with the city of Roanoke Park, and City Ventures seems very motivated to help come up with what infrastructure is needed in a different phase of the cycle to get their housing going. So 4, 5, 6 years from now, we would anticipate having to house new, unique students. I think the casino will have an impact on that. We've already enrolled families indicating that they're here because of work at the casino. They're going to have thousands of jobs, and those people are going to have to live somewhere. And if they don't want to commute very far, they're going to be living here. Any questions about enrollment?
What's happening with La Fiesta, where their numbers at?
Co-principal Kaufman.
2 right now, I think.
42.
And we're poised for any overflow at other schools. And we've reached out to the L section, some of the L section families. Cruising along.
Do we know the increase at Tech High? How many of those came within district and how many came from out district, outside the district?
We could,
I did it
in the first couple of weeks, we run that spreadsheet, but I don't remember the exact numbers. We break it down, and you need not just at Tech High, but at all of our schools, we look at it. Those students who were here, have always been here, and have never left. Students that were here, live in the community, but left and are willing to come back. And students who are outside of the community getting inter-district transfers and coming in. Really, the last 2 categories are almost the same, because if they were a student that for whatever reason we lost and we can get them back, it's a net gain. But I don't know the exact breakdown.
I want to say like 30% of them originally were in district, and the remainder of that increase were from out of district, but we can get those numbers.
Okay.
And I think that we'll see, especially with Tech Middle School, it seems to be that that's kind of a hub that's pulling kids that are at multiple levels of the system. They bring their middle school kid to Tech Middle, and then we're getting
Anecdotally,
yeah.
I would say Tech Middle has brought more students back into the district who had left, and new students to the district. I had an opportunity just the other day to go over, actually it was on the day we were discussing to open up the new sections for Tech Middle because they were full. And there was a woman at the counter, and she had the blue form, which I knew was the enrollment form, so I just used that. Focus group of 1. Hi, how are you? Yeah, I'm the superintendent, glad you're here. Turns out she doesn't live here. She lives in, I think, probably Bellevue, could be right, on that west side of the freeway. And wants to come here on an inter-district transfer. Said she's planning on moving to Roanoke Park. Well, God bless you. I'm sure you are, but welcome aboard. Come on in.
So what's the choice of Bellevue for middle school? Is it Cook?
Actually, I should have said, yeah, because Bellevue being K-6, I don't know if this was a 6th grade or 7th grade, so it would be Santa Rosa City.
Everybody's creating their own middle school.
The Santa Rosa City School District, so it would be Cook, but then, yeah, Bellevue is starting some kind of charter program. Most of the Santa Rosa feeder elementaries have some kind of charter middle school of some kind.
In summer, and we're high school, that's the summer category.
Yeah.
Ultimately, supposed
Yeah,
to be South
like
Carolina.
Pioneer,
Like Roseland, yeah.
Roseland. School openings, hopefully, we'll have trustee presence on August 21st at both August, what date?
Next Wednesday.
I think I got it right. August 21st. Which order are we going in first?
University at 8 and 8:45 Tech Middle.
We're meeting tomorrow with a small group to finalize our agendas. So we're trying to keep things short, especially over at University Elementary. But there'll be a lot of Sonoma Staters there. But we'll need to get our crew over here for the Tech Middle opening. Headlining the Tech Middle opening, is he coming to University? Did he commit to that?
Yes. Yes,
So-
to be in Sacramento, yes. Definitely.
Both.
Yes, in both.
Yeah, so Assembly Member Levine, we've reached out to as many officials as we can, and I don't know, maybe he's keeping a list of who might show up, but he confirmed first, so we gave him a speaking spot, and everybody else can be introduced away. But along those lines, it's very anticipatory and excited to see the middle school kids, especially running around here. I think it's just going to be invigorating for this campus, for this part of town. It's great to have the connection to the district office here, surrounded by middle school students. And then just the other day, I was out checking on the progress of things at University Elementary La Fiesta. All the new little furniture is in there and everything. And the teacher, one of the teachers was there working on the classroom. I'm like, wow, what a difference a year makes. So, you know, if you want a preview of either, we have a lot of furniture coming in here right now. This is going to be a work in progress, literally up until the first day, maybe after. So, you know, Amy Goodwin, the principal's been good about working with Josh Savage, our facilities director, and I think, you know, the kids will be fine. But we're pretty much all set over at University Elementary. The office is open, and we have our office school specialized secretary there, and things look great. The next item, in June, we talked about our marketing from a more retrospective point of view. And then this summer, we spent some time looking at what's been successful, what we need to tinker with, what are really driving down into what are we trying to accomplish and what are we trying to accomplish in specific parts of the year. So if you look at the top, the purpose, you know, why are we marketing? We think overall there's an importance to just district brand awareness, and we heard that reflected by Trustee Gilardi, as I did myself. I got different emails from people and phone calls, hey, I heard you on the radio. And that connection in a positive framework with our district name, whether or not that's necessarily somebody who's going to send their kid to school here, we just want the you know, when somebody hears Cotati North Park, they think, oh, that's a district doing things. You know, they've got great schools, they're doing new stuff, they're innovative. That's important because all of those little mini conversations that take place, you never know what is going to be that connection to keep a family engaged. Rather than go to a private school, rather than leave our district on an inter-district transfer, you know, a friend at the soccer field or wherever that might be. So just that overall district brand awareness, we believe is important and worth something. Then secondly, enrollment. We want to specifically be able to use marketing to enroll students. It's hard, you know, it can be difficult. You know, we've all purchased things or whatever. How did you hear about us? We haven't done a lot of that other than anecdotally. But we want to be able to use our marketing to drive enrollment. So then that comes a little bit then in the second category, which is calendar. And then lastly, information. It's important to get information out there. So when we market, we want people to get good, accurate information about our school district or important events, whatever the case may be. The calendar, we want to have an overall annual approach that's really just focused on brand awareness. That throughout the year, in different venues, different media, hearing our name, what's going on, brand awareness. Then, at specific times, we need to market based upon enrollment. For instance, our open enrollment period in the spring, or the time when parents that organize up, you know, the ones who are making decisions in March and April and May, we need a much heavier focus on our enrollment message. What are our schools? What's available? How do you enroll? Where do you enroll? to enroll. And then also event driven again. So if we have an important event, we want to be able to market it and let people know about. The media, we had success, we think, with Sonoma Family Life in terms of print, but this year scaled back our commitment to the full inside front page that we've been doing on a monthly basis. So Sonoma Family Life, this is all over the county. If you have a kid that's going to the orthodontist and you're bored, you pick this up. So we've had this page inside of Sonoma Family. Hey, who's that guy? Hey, what am I wearing? Actually, it's a different shirt. So we've had this page, and then we started using it to also market our website and videos. So that's been a crossover, and that's been successful. But we don't think we need to do this page every month. So we selected certain months where we're going to do this page, and then other months where we're going to be on other inside pages at about the 1/3. I think we settled on 1/3 of the page. We still have a great relationship. We're we've been a good client or advertiser for them. So there was somewhere in here they added us in this story, and so that's great. That's a side benefit also when we're talking about the radio side benefit of that. So by scaling back under media item number 2, that freed up some dollars to do item number 1, which is the radio. Rob Haley Show. Rob Haley in the morning, in the afternoon, on your way home. Coming. In the shower. Can't get away from the man.
Hi, I'm Robert Haley, Superintendent of Cotati Rohnert Park Unified School District. We're proud to be a district that is creating innovative programs, opening schools, attracting students, and preparing them for college and careers. We're excited to announce the grand opening of Technology Middle School in the heart of Rohnert Park and University Elementary School in La Fiesta, a partnership with Sonoma State University. We're also excited to announce that Thomas Page Academy in Cotati has expanded to serve students from kindergarten to 8th grade with a focus on the environment. Ranch Cotati High School is opening a new state-of-the-art shop incorporating science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics as part of its Pathways program. Technology High School on the campus of Sonoma State University continues to be one of the highest scoring schools in the state of California. Our elementary schools have class size reduction, enrichment, libraries, and technology labs. For more information and enrollment opportunities, visit our website at crpusd.org. Cotati Rohnert Park Unified School District. Learning for a lifetime.
And you said that without taking a breath.
It was a fascinating process to go through. Actually, a lot of work went into that 60 seconds, I can assure you. A lot of writing, rewriting, and then saying it and doing it over.
The whole recording process is fascinating.
There were parts where, if you listen carefully, the producer sped up my voice.
Yeah.
Because we felt like we cut out, and he also, it was interesting to watch, he could take out gaps between words. Like at one point, like I think between Ranch Cotati or the La Fiesta one, he could, with his equipment, he can just say, okay, we've got a 3/4 second gap here, we can change that to a 1/4 second, rather than lose that word. So it was an interesting process. So that's number 1, radio. Sonoma Media Group, formerly known as Maverick Media, and so they have KSRO 1350, Mix 1049, Froggy 929, The River 97.7, and Hot 1017, and each of those stations reaches a different demographic. So we carefully went through with their account manager, with our account manager, Kathy Slack, what the demographic is for each of the different stations, what kind of penetration we want, so we're not equally on all of the stations, and depending upon what it is we're marketing, we might, let's say we're going to market something about a Giovanni, we're more likely to go heavy on KSRO than, Hot 101.7. But if we're talking about an enrollment-driven message for a kindergartner, we're probably on Hot 101.7 or probably on the Mix 104.9. Froggy is the number 1. So KZST is number one in the market. We're not on KZST either, that's a different ownership group. This is 2 through 6, so these are the bigger stations. Froggy's big in the country music market. I don't tend to listen to it, but a lot of moms
That's
do.
right,
Radio, all these stations skew, well, okay. A lot of them skew heavily towards women other than the River, which is classic rock, and that's all old men. So we have that, and we have an approach that we're going to use throughout the year where basically it's a donut. The intro will remain the same, the exit will remain the same, and then the middle part, I guess not a donut, that's a hamburger. The middle part, I don't know what it is. We'll change that. We'll work that around. So you'll have that consistent opening, and we're going to work with Glenn. We may redo the music, right? But we had to put together the musical background that day, so that was what we came up with. The idea being that you hear this consistency, that background music becomes,
It's the Kentucky Road Park theme song.
Yeah. So that's what's going on there. Direct mail. We think we do a pretty good job with our direct mail. We've developed relationships with the mail houses, and also because of the campaigns we've been involved in, and we have access to Charles Heath and TBWB, they can actually help guide all of this marketing that's informational based, and merge that with the message that we want to get out with regards to our facilities. So they've been a consultant in this, and they can help us do direct mail. We are going to do specific direct mail for facilities. So we're looking at probably 3 different mailers. One to come out in September, one to come out beginning of December, and then one probably January, February. All of these have to be informationally based, not advocacy based. And then we can use their consultancy and expertise. If we want to say do a direct mail piece to all the residents in Cotati and say, did you know we have a K school here, it's open, it's great, if you want to learn more about it, come meet the principal on these dates or enroll your kid. Rather than just generically advertise in the Press Democrat, we may still do that. We think that it's really more of a brand awareness thing than anything else. Because other people are in there, we kind of want to have a presence, because that's expected, but on the other hand, not invest too much in that because we're not sure about the return. It's just too generic. But if Sonoma Academy's in there, we want them to see, oh, we're in there too. So. Then as always, our website, what we do with live stream, what we do with video, news headlines, information. He left, but apparel is another big component. You know, you saw Dr. Mims here in his Tech Eye gear. We've got Principal Stefan back there in his Rancho gear. Every kindergartner the last 2 years has gotten a t-shirt, part of our school district. So if you get them wearing something, they're likely to stick around. That's kind of, here's a shirt. So we did that here at Tech Middle. Remember the night we did one of our informational meetings, we started handing kids t-shirts. They wear the t-shirt, they would tell their mom they want to go to school here.
We even have a University Elementary onesie, don't we, Glenn?
Put them on the babies. Put them on the babies. Where are we at?
Our first baby born.
Polos, it was on polo.
Tiny logo.
I saw some emails.
We're going to get some district polo shirts,
I think
white,
I was
branding.
funding.
Yeah.
Please don't make the white in the meeting.
We'll get trustees so you can have, if you go out and as a trustee, you can have a nice shirt that
Give me some
says the Cotty Road
places.
Park Unified on it with this logo. And then number 7 is really important, community events and organizations. Between senior district staff and our principals, we try to be at as many events as possible. I know people are appreciative of that and represent the school district. We think that's important, belonging to the chambers, going to Rotary meetings, that sort of thing. And then events as scheduled.
Robert,
What do we have going on?
which address or which target the Hispanic or our Hispanic community?
All of them?
So I can imagine that in the direct mail they'd be going out in Spanish, or how would you see that?
Most of what we send, depending upon the venue, is in multiple languages.
And then on the community events, we have any representation that goes to the, there's probably several organizations.
Are we racing a bed here in a few weeks? I know.
I got a donkey cart. I don't know if someone can drive it.
Yeah, we haven't
There's a
specifically
Spanish- there's a Hispanic
with like
Chamber
the
of
Spanish,
Commerce.
there's, what is it, La Vaz, we haven't, I don't know.
We,
I don't know if we advertise it on or not.
I did attend the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce dinner a few weeks ago. There was a presence from the city there. There was a planning director, I think that Gina Belforte was supposed to come, but she didn't. She missed the event. This was a Runner Park table. It was sponsored by Walmart. And Walmart is very interested in working with all communities in trying to better our schools as well. They specifically attempted to get representation there. It was nice of them.
Yeah, I would be intrigued about maybe doing something on Spanish language radio. That would be interesting. Compete with, say, Roseland.
Yeah, Cavite.
I have
But they're
several
not-
contacts there.
You do?
Okay.
That'd be good.
Any other questions on marketing?
Just, what's interesting is Steve Harrington has been on the television, you've been on the radio, but I haven't really heard much from any of the schools. So I think timing-wise, you've kind of cornered that market, which has been good.
GeoBond planning, a reminder, we have 2 meetings scheduled for August 28th, 3:30 and 6:30. Co-sponsored by the Rancho Cotati High School PTA, but we want as many people as possible to come. It's not, the 3:30 or the 6:30 meeting can have staff and or parents and community members. We want to reach as many people as possible. We're working on a conference call to finalize that agenda, and we'll be putting out more information, so hopefully we'll get some people to attend.
In the library?
Library, yes. I think we were doing the library. Unless we have an overflow crowd, and then we'll be happy to, we'll be flexible.
Anything else, Rob? Item 8, consent agenda. Is there any public comment on any item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please?
I move we approve the consent agenda items A through J.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, educational services. Item A, approval of reading and adoption of course descriptions for Rancho Cotati High School and Technology High School.
So we have the financial algebra class that we're bringing forward, and I have the textbook here as well. And it's a really exciting class. It's a prerequisite is Algebra 1, and we're working on getting the UC A through G approval, as this course offers a great kind of intermediary step between Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 that, especially if you're a student who maybe took Algebra 1 in 8th grade and you need some refreshment between geometry and Algebra 2, it's just a great opportunity. And it's applied. I mean, I wish it had been in high school when I was there, because it contextualizes banking and credit and, interest rates and all the stuff that I still know nothing about. And, you get a liberal arts education, you don't necessarily get anything applied in life. So I want to take it. I'll read the book. And I'll pass the book down. There's a great link that there's a card in here where there's a community presentation here that you can go into and look at the financial algebra, just PowerPoint presentation. So you might want to write it down and check it out. But anyway, we're bringing it forward for adoption, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Now, is this, it complements our business and technology pathway. Does that connect also all the way up to the JC's business program?
It could. It hasn't. We haven't articulated at that point yet. We used to have. Bob, you're welcome to come up and speak. But we used to have more connection with their entry level business classes, and I think we need to kind of resurrect that. But it's definitely a step on the way, and for students that need 3 years of math to go to a UC and aren't seeing the relevance of math. My hope is that this kind of gets them on that path where, it makes sense to do math, and there's a purpose for math, and here it is, and hopefully guides, especially those business and technology pathway students to move towards some applied course selections.
Is this a textbook that they'll keep at home, and then there'll be one in the class?
We have to, under Williams, we have to have 2 texts. And there is an online component of it, but yeah. And you can see here are the Common Core alignments in there. So,
excellent.
It's very exciting.
Now the online, is it in addition? I mean,
it's just resources. Everything now has practice sets and other resources.
So this course right now is only offered to 11th and 12th graders. So when do you think it will be offered to the lower?
Yeah, we want to get to A through G first on it to place it in our in our whole spectrum. Right now, Bob's scheduled students who need math credit into the program just because we want to make sure it works.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. So the temporary, this first year, we're going to be introducing it in our Phoenix program to the 11th and 12th grade students, as well as in our credit recovery with our directed study program. So both of those teachers have been taking a look at what is required there and the new course. And so we're real excited about piloting that way. We've also articulated this with Dennis Mancatelli, our business and accounting teacher. So eventually the plan will be to really incorporate it in our business media pathway and make it part of what they get introduced to. I think it would be so kids can be taking the accounting class as well as this financial algebra, and really makes sense out of their application. So that's kind of where we're headed with it in that vein. We've articulated this with our RLP program and with the Sonoma County Office of Education. Kind of helped us put kind of got us turned on to the book itself and made it a part of their mission a little bit to bring it forward. And they wanted to pilot it in our county also. So
they're helping us with the UC approval.
So a couple other questions. Is this a differentiator? Do other high schools offer this course?
You're right. Yeah, it's something unique.
We're the first in the county.
Right. Right.
And
we're always on the cutting edge.
As much as I don't like what I'm about to say, but there are a lot of 8th graders for whatever reason who should be going into geometry who are not, who are retaking algebra. Is this potentially a course that they could use as a step
bridge? Yeah, effectively. Yeah, I think that's what we were looking at. I mean, right now, until we go through it a year and really get a better look at exactly how it will serve us best, but those are the things we're thinking about.
That's why the prerequisite is just algebra 1. So, again, and it's a great reinforcer. It's a great conceptual algebra for kids. I mean, at some point it may replace that, but right.
I know I had to twist my daughter's arm to take algebra as a freshman, geometry as a freshman, and she did fine. But there's a lot of kids who
Well, in the fear with taking, geometry as a freshman, then you're faced with, pre-calculus or pretty
Right.
high-level math, and it just depends on your aptitude in math.
Which is always
That's
still
scary.
that drop is between algebra and algebra. It's like they can do algebra 1 geometry, and then when they get algebra 2, they bottom out, which is where Tech High has gone, and they've backfilled some of their integrated science with more algebra concepts. This is another way to do it with providing another scaffolded support for algebra prior to algebra 2.
So given that this could be an integral part of Dennis's program and the ROP offerings, how are we getting that out to the greater community to let them know that we have these offerings and other places don't?
Right.
But once we get it approved, I'm sure Bob's going to put it on the
Yeah.
website.
It'll be part of our marketing.
That's right, yeah.
We're all going to read
Yeah, no,
about
I think
it.
this will definitely be what we do when we introduce and start showing off our program for the coming year, for the following year. That will be all part of our marketing plan.
And that's why we're really pushing for the APG, that it's not a lower level of math class that we're
Right, it's
adding
just
to Rancho's options. It
It's
is
going to be
a
taught in a different way.
comprehensive and meaningful applied math.
Okay.
model.
Are there any other questions? No motion.
I'll make the motion to approve reading and adaptation course description for Rancho Body High School and Technology High School.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5B, approve adoption of high school textbooks.
Well, this is exciting time. We have the financial algebra text to adopt, but with the addition of courses of statistics, advanced business statistics, and calculus at both sites now as part of the capstone for both Rancho High and Tech High. Both programs are offering those, so both programs need textbooks. And the Tech High teacher has maintained possession of the books that he's been using for multiple years. And rather than try to find other books, we are going ahead to try newer texts that the Rancho High School Math Department has selected. And so we have 2 math texts, and then I'm quite pleased to say thank you, Anne. We have new Spanish books. So never again will we have to look at the ratty, ugly ones and wish we could do more. So Measure D, thank you. Lottery. Okay, well, it offsets something, Lottery,
One or the other.
This is the Spanish one.
Spanish one, and so each year you'll be asked to adopt the next version of this as we bring people through. So anyway, those are our books.
Is the
It
expect,
is lottery. It's right there.
is it our
Interview the
expectation?
gamblers in the state of California. Now visit the casino.
Will we get through the entire book?
I would hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, the 1 year all Spanish class.
Any other comments or questions for Elizabeth?
You send a letter to Stacy, let her know
Not in the classroom.
It is this year while you're on leave, yes.
Oh, that's right. We'll let her know.
So our Spanish teachers were involved.
Yeah, in all of these, we have a criteria for selection that are completed by teachers at the site and then approved by Bob, and they go through the strengths and weaknesses and comparison of other texts, and so we have had their involvement in all of those.
Fantastic.
Unless there's any more questions, is there a motion? I move to approve adoption of high school textbooks. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, personnel services. Item 10A, ratification ratification of personnel action report 1314-1A certificated. Comments? No. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to ratify the Personal Action Report 1314-1A certificated.
Second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10B, ratification of personnel action report 1314-1B classified. Comments, questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please?
Move we ratify personal action report 1314-1D.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10C, approve establishing food service coordinator position. Any questions? None? Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move that we approve establishing food service coordinator position.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
that. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, business and operational services. Item A, public hearing regarding developer fee study. Catching up here. Open hearing. Close hearing. Item 11B, adoption of resolution 1314-2 in order to revise the developer fees schedule.
So you all received a copy of the study. Of course, the urgency around adopting the study now is we want to get our new IRPs in place before construction starts. The study itself is fairly straightforward. There's a standard methodology that our consultant Jack Schrader and associates followed. And they did in fact find that at normal loading, following the state standards for loading our classrooms, we do in fact have a need, and we are justified in increasing our developer fees. And so that's what the resolution asks the board to approve that finding, say you're agreeing with it, and then state what the increased fees will be. We did notify the groups that had asked to be notified if we ever brought such an item forward. We never heard back from them. We placed the required notices in the Voice and also in the Press Democrat. Got no comment, no request to come look at the study, so seems fairly straightforward.
Just to reiterate the contact that we have had with developers, and we specifically sent the study to all of the ones we've had contact with. Their non-response is not an indication of that they don't care. Our contact with them has generally been they want to make sure that they understand where the schools are, if there's a new school, what's needed, and it's in their best interest to have high-quality schools. They get to sell their houses or townhomes for more money.
Developers looking at this as their only fee process that they will contribute to our school district.
We haven't had those conversations with them yet. We certainly haven't made any commitments. I think the larger projects, such as the University District Brookfield project, would expect that there might be other litigation required.
Yeah, I have one. Extend the useful life of current facilities. Does that allow us to take all the walls down except for one?
Well, so for instance, repurposing, to use an example, would be the metal shop at the high school, which has been closed for quite some time and will be reopened this year. That's what was being referred to in the commercial on the Maverick Media, Sonoma Media Group stations. That's a perfect justification of using developer fees for a project like that. So now we get to use a facility that otherwise was sitting there dormant, and that can then house more kids. I don't know if you go into a lot of communities where, for instance, some of the beach communities in Southern California, it's common to see, a lot completely level, but it's like one wall. We don't have the same kind of restrictions as that.
One portable pull down and a portable put in.
Portables, generally, we can use developer fees for to maintain the housing capacity that we have if something is falling apart.
Other questions? Can I have a motion, please?
I move we adopt resolution 1314-2 in order to revise the developer fee schedule.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Jalardi?
Yes.
Trustee Longmire?
Yes.
Trustee Orlaw?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson? Yes.
Item 11C, public disclosures pursuant to AB 1200.
We really have here two items that we're disclosing. One would be, you'll see later, the memorandum of understanding of teachers changing their work year from 2013-14. And then secondly, as you may be aware, within 45 days, we're to make budget adjustments after the State Budget Act and disclose those. At this point in time, we really don't have enough information about the local control funding formula to adjust our budget. If we did, it would probably be down in terms of revenue per pupil, rather than neutral or up. But we do know that the Common Core funding is coming in, and we will receive that. So we're disclosing the fact that we estimate the revenue for one-time use of Common Core funding, and then the impact, should you approve and ratify the memorandum of understanding with the teachers and costs associated with that. There's no action that you're taking here, it's just that we're required to disclose this to the public. And this was in a format that the County Office of Education said we could use for both items.
Any questions or comments? Item 11B, adoption of resolution 1314-1, authorization for Robert A. Haley, Ann W. Barron, Elizabeth Kaufman, Mary Burkhart, Diane Ashton, Wendy Wood, and Josh Savage to sign on behalf of the Board of Trustees. This is something we do every year. Are there any questions? No. I have a motion.
I move we adopt resolution 1314-1, authorization for Robert A. Haley, Ann W. Barron, Elizabeth Kaufman, Mary Burkhart, Diane Ashton, Wendy Wood, Josh Savage to sign on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Jalardi?
Yes.
Trustee Longmire?
Yes.
Trustee Orlaw?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson? Yes.
Item 11E, public hearing regarding Academy of Arts and Sciences attendance waiver request. Hearing open. Closed. Item 11F, adoption of resolution 1314-3 for Academy of Arts and Sciences attendance waiver request. Are there any questions?
This is not a cost item to the district.
How many students are Roanoke Park students use the academy?
It did not work out as well this summer as we had hoped. Our relationship with AAS, we tried to keep at a minimal, level. We don't intend to incur a lot of staff time and staff costs. If they're successful, great, and there can be a benefit to the students here, great. If they're not successful as a charter, well, then they'll have to close and move on. Our experience is such that there was a huge expansion with the parent organization, and most of their focus has been on the schools in Southern California, not up here.
And their history, they've been successful in the San Diego.
They have been successful in Southern California. I think their ability to move into Northern California has so far not been branded a success. But with what was learned this summer, if there's an opportunity next summer for our students to enroll in their program and take an exciting class and get credit, that's a win-win for us. I don't know what the final numbers were.
Well, during the year, they tend not to, and during their
No,
regular program.
The advantage for us is in the summer. That's
Right.
So the last class is Friday, and they're still operating.
Yeah, there's still
Yeah, I just don't know what the numbers are.
So many students didn't take advantage
80
of,
that started, but.
there were how many?
I think about 80 that started. But again, it's an online class for students who are credit deficient with very little support, whereas our version of online is in the classroom with release at home, not teach yourself entirely at home. So
Yeah.
For them to implement the charter as intended, they have to get more students enrolled and then provide the in-person contact and support, and that's what they have not been able to
yeah,
do.
their person comes from Sacramento, so it's kind of hard to help. But yeah, we provided an opportunity for kids that we couldn't have otherwise.
Any other questions or comments? Can I have a motion, please?
I move we adopt resolution 1314-3, approving the Academy of Arts and Sciences attendance waiver request.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Garage?
Yes.
Trustee Longmire?
Yes.
Trustee Orloff?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson? Yes.
Item 12A, board services, fiscal update and planning.
Well, this would be one of those good news and bad news. Good news is we've already said, we're excited to get the Common Core funding. It's a big help for a district that was committed to implementing Common Core already. We were developing our technology plan and what we need in that area. We've done already an incredible amount of professional development, much of it centered around Common Core. As you see, we're purchasing some instructional materials centered on Common Core. So getting this allocation from the state with perhaps another allocation later in the year is a great benefit to us. Helps us afford many of the plans that we already have in place. So that's the good news. The bad news is that there's still not information coming from the Department of Finance, a definitive economic model that we can run to see what our funding per pupil will be this year. The model that we were told to use by the County Office of Education that was developed by their county organization shows a drop in funding for our school district in 2013-14. Hence the term grave concern. We can't afford a drop in funding. Our district, like many districts around the state, we've imposed cuts that, in terms of discretionary spending, materials and things beyond which really we need to support the infrastructure and the economic instability of our employees and the cuts that they've had to take has been tough. And there's always been this hope that the state economy would recover, that state funding would be restored, and we would be able to provide that economic stability to our employees and provide our infrastructure needs as well. With some level of economic recovery, we've been able to see some funding, like the Common Core. Unfortunately, with the local control funding formula, it appears districts like Cotati Rohnert Park are going to face a penalty and be funded at a lower level unless the state changes something or intervenes, or we're shown a different model by the Department of Finance. And to be specific, it would be looking at unified districts that don't have a very high ELL or free and reduced lunch count or homeless foster youth count, and had invested in continued class size reduction, with those being the primary factors. I hope that the state, either that we've somehow, the model that we've been given is wrong, which is possible, or that a more accurate model will come from the Department of Finance that will show some amount of increase, or if the model is correct, that there'll be state intervention, because I don't think the intent of the hold harmless was to have districts like ours be penalized. So you see in the packet, California School Finance Reform Coalition, whether or not the board is interested in joining. These are some pretty prominent districts when it comes to, that have signed the letter, that when it comes to lobbying at the state level, I have pretty high familiarity with Clovis and Torrance and Apollonis, and administrators that have been in those districts, superintendents that have been in those districts, and they're fairly large districts and influential districts. Trying to come up with a fair way to implement the local control funding formula. This is now just veering off into my personal opinion, an informed personal opinion. When the state is going to be funding districts in such a dramatically dissimilar way, who might be right next to each other, that's going to be tough to implement. In Sonoma County, there are going to be some very clear winners that have very high free and reduced lunch counts, very high ELL counts, that potentially are going to have thousands of dollars more per pupil than us. Essentially, it's creating, we've always had this issue with basic aid districts, where a handful of basic aid districts in our county, Healdsburg, due to their increase in property tax wealth and a decrease in state funding, and Sonoma Valley Unified went into being basic aid districts. There's always been a couple of smaller ones, but they just don't have as big an impact. And they've had several thousands of dollars more per pupil. But now it's going to be greatly expanded, and there'll be hundreds and hundreds of districts that have this huge disparity. And I think it's going to be very difficult for the state politically to manage that.
And the costs are not necessarily that different. I mean, that's the big
Right.
thing. What we need to spend to educate our students isn't really markedly less than what they'll be looking to spend to improve student achievement. So it's kind of hard to justify the differences. In the abstract, it sounds like, oh yes, Oakland needs more money than Beverly Hills or the state or some non-basic aid district. But when you start thinking about specifics, it really doesn't make sense.
Who else is in a similar situation within Sonoma County? And
Do you want to weigh in on any of this, former fiscal advisor Tapman?
I don't know yet. I'm not going to talk about any of this.
The district most similar to us in size and demographics would be Windsor, and my understanding they're facing a similar challenge. I think they have a few more ELLs than we have. So I'm not hearing that they actually are looking at a negative number, but they're not looking at an increase.
I would think Nevada would probably be similar to us demographically. The average statewide is an unduplicated count of 60%, free and reduced or EL. Neither of those kids count once. We're at about 51 based on last year's data. So if you're below, you're not going to be a winner. We thought, well, that's okay, hold harmless, but the hold harmless has some big holes in it. So that's why we're looking at, and I guess why would we be surprised by that? But that's really one we're looking at, a potential loss of revenue, that and being punished, if you will, for having implemented class size reduction last year.
To connect it to our marketing, you know, the state marketing on this, the numbers the state puts out and the philosophical explanation the state puts out is always a number that I don't think the public realizes is in 2021 or 21-22. They seem to have changed now to 21-22. Well, 21-22 is great. How are we going to get to 13-14, 14-15? I don't need to hear about 21-22. So they walked back the number that they were going to use to support class size reduction by several $100s. So yeah, in 21-22 it'll be more, but in 13-14 it'll be several $100s less.
No, even in 21-22, it's only $728 per kid. And last year it was $1,071, and then most of us have a penalty. But in 21-22, you get back to what we were funded at in 12-13. With much more stringent penalties. You know,
Less local control.
well, a school goes over by one kid over 2041 in K3, and you lose all the money. No more graduated penalties. So, yeah. How is this better?
In the CSB meeting that I attended in March, there was a speaker from this group, and his whole thing was basically that, you know, we needed to have a real focused message on what the disparities are. And, you know, there were districts that, you know, oh, I don't want anything to do with it. Well, those are the districts that were going to be in a win-win situation, so they really didn't care. But I think back in March, it was still unclear if Sacramento's fuzzy map is becoming more clear now, and I think you're going to see more and more districts that are going to say, well, wait a minute now.
There are going to be districts that
like
that won't be, I mean, depending upon the size of their reserve, won't be able to afford the program that they have set up for 13-14.
Yeah.
Certainly
But
14-15.
The you know, $2,500 fee to be part of this organization, I think is a drop in the bucket for, you know, having that focused voice out there to make sure that the message is heard.
So is it on the agenda?
No, this is just, if you give me direction, we'll contact them and we'll arrange the membership and execute it. If you're asking for me, for my recommendation, I would say this is probably, there's a time to just let others do the work and hope for the best, and there's a time to be involved. And I think we
Time to
need
be involved.
voice. I do think that looking at our overall budget impact and investment to actually sign on and be a part of this is a good investment.
I would agree.
So we'll bring that back as a report on what we've done at the next meeting.
Item 12B, approve adoption of AB 86 Common Core State Standards Expenditure Plan.
Previously, we've sent out to you and shared with as many people who wanted it, including our teachers in preparation for meeting with them, the exact language from AB 86 regarding the Common Core Standards. And you see in the categories that we have set up, those are exactly what was listed in AB 86. We didn't list all the language here because we have it, so we know exactly how, for instance, when they say professional development, what does that mean? Instructional materials, what does that mean? Technology, what does that mean? To the extent that it was outlined in AB 86, it was still relatively vague. At some point, I'm sure the state may come out with guidance on what the plan needs to look like. But for now, we believe this is a reasonable expenditure plan. We want to be able to move forward, we need to use the revenue. So we had our prior hearing, this AB 86 required, well, not a hearing, require meeting, public meeting. It actually doesn't require a hearing. And a lot of people were saying you needed to have a hearing, and we read and reread, but it doesn't say that anymore. I don't know that makes a difference. So we believe this is a good plan. We're very excited about the 2 days we have already planned out for August 16th and 19th in terms of professional development. And then we'll develop an agenda for June 2nd collaboratively with teachers and get more time to plan this out. And then we know we need work in the area of technology and instructional materials. And we can use these dollars to support that.
Any questions? Have a motion, please.
I move we adopt ADE's the Common Core State Standards Evidentiary Plan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12C, ratification of memorandum of understanding between Cotati Rohnert Park Unified School District and Rohnert Park Cotati Educators Association.
This is consistent with the expenditure plan that you just approved. I think we had a great collaborative meeting with representatives from Rohnert Park Cotati Educators Association and came to an understanding of how to implement some of the professional development. Normally you wouldn't see necessarily a memorandum of understanding. That's something that I can do on your behalf as superintendent. Why are you seeing it? Why are you ratifying it? Because we're actually modifying the work year for teachers. So this is at a little bit of a higher level. And we'll be reporting that to STRS. So their work year is increasing by 3 days for 2013-14.
Questions? I move we ratify the memorandum of understanding between Cotati Rohnert Park Unified School District and Rohnert Park Cotati Educators Association. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12D, approval of agreement for financial consulting services with Urban Futures, Inc.
Yes, and we have a representative from Urban Futures, Inc. with us here tonight, Greg Isom. You've met Greg before. He's going to come up to the podium and explain his services and fees, and he also has a presentation that I'll help pull up for him.
Thanks, Andy. For having me. Okay. Thanks for having me once again. Greg Isom, Isom Advisors, a division of Urban Futures. What our contract is up for today is financial advisor. And you'll just see, as a financial advisor, we'll serve as the Cotati Rohnert Park Unified School District's fiduciary, ensuring that the financial aspects of the prospective bond program are formulated and implemented in the best interest of Cotati Rohnert Park Unified School District and its taxpayers. Okay? So as a financial advisor on the school districts, we actually have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the interests of the districts and the taxpayers come before ours. Okay? It's law. It's there to protect school districts when making decisions when it comes to lots of money. Okay? What we do as a financial advisor pre-election is we come up with the analysis of the bond financing options and structures. What that means is, similar to when we kind of made a presentation earlier in the year, we analyze the tax base, we take a look at the tax base, what it's done recently within the last 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, and then we kind of come up with a program that fits what the needs are of the district based on what the appropriate tax rate is from the survey, based on what some of the big projects are, and we kind of put that all into one big ball. Okay. We advise the district on fees for other consultants pertaining to the underwriter and the bond counsel. I'll talk about that in a little bit. We discussed current events affecting school bonds, such as the Assembly Bill 182. Last time I was here, we talked about there's that Assembly Bill in regards to cabs that has recently come up, and it will pass, will be put into law in January. It just puts limitations for school districts. What some of the limitations are for cabs, since it's something new within the last month or so, it says that you can do cabs as long as they're 25 years, as long as they're callable within 10 years, as long as they fit a payback ratio of 4 to 1, and you have to have a lot more kind of hoops to jump through at the school district level. One of the changes that came up a month ago in regards to current interest bonds, it actually changed from when I was here. Originally they said it was going to be 30 years for current interest bonds, and they have now extended that to match up to 40 years if the school district chooses to do so for the next 5 years, and then after the 5-year point in 2019, they will then revisit that and say, does it make sense to continue this, or should we take it back down to 30 years? That's your update for 182. Okay? We're here just to answer questions in regards to the tax rate authorization amount. We assist with the tax rate statement that gets put into the voter pamphlet when you turn it into the county when you adopt the resolution. We review the bond election documents to ensure that the district's bond program is appropriately documented, and depending on the needs of what the superintendent and the campaign committee needs, we actually assist answering questions about the future bond measure in regards to if someone has a question about rates, if someone has a question about caps per SIBs, if someone has a question about growth rate assumptions, all these things that go into it, that's what we help out with pre-election. Okay? Assuming that it passes, there's a big laundry list of things on what we do. I mean, most importantly, what our job is, as I said at the beginning, is to make sure that you guys get a good deal. Most important part. Okay? We work with the counties, we work with the underwriter, we work with the bond council. We're the guys that represent the school district in the entire financing to make sure that, once again, you guys get a good deal in regards to interest rate, in regards to fees, in regards to takedown, and also to make sure that we're maintaining that tax rate that we kind of, if you want to call it, promised to voters during the campaign. You guys have any questions about anything?
You have taken financial algebra in high school.
I'm sorry?
You have taken financial algebra in high school if you had the opportunity.
Do you want me to answer that? Is there a camera on?
Yeah, there is a camera on.
It's getting warm in here. Down to the calculus level. I mean, sure.
Okay, checking.
Explain your fees.
Our fees, yes, great question. We work on a flat fee. So the reason we work on a flat fee is that, once again, we don't work on a sliding scale or a percentage, because that kind of constitutes a conflict of interest. You know, although I know that I'm an honest person, we wouldn't do that. For maybe some other actors out there, that would give them incentive to say, hey, I'm going to make this next bond sale a little bit higher, get to the next threshold. So we work on a flat fee regardless of how many hours that it takes.
And per sale it is?
What does it say?
75.
75. I'm like, I don't remember what it was. 75, we charge it. It's a standard fee that we work with the school districts in Sonoma County. Everyone is within about an $8,000 range.
And then what's the scenario of the number of sales for the duration?
The goal for us and the district is to have as few sales as possible, obviously. You know, most bond programs are about 3 to 4 sales statewide, and even in Sonoma County, unless you're a really small district, you're doing like 4 million or even less than 4 million, you just do one sale. But ultimately what we do is, once a bond is successful, we bring the options to the school district and the school board, say, here's all your options. How much do you need for bond sale number one? Because here's the thing, you're supposed to spend the money within 3 years. And so, you know, when LA Unified is a bond for $7 billion, you can't spend it all, right, in 3 years, so you sell it.
I can spend $7 billion.
That's pretty impressive, I'll give you that. As I said, you're supposed to spend it within 3 years, and so a lot of districts do it in the stages because of just when it comes to OPSC, DSA, and whatnot. So ultimately, as I said, I think as of right now, it's structured as 3. If your tax base grows higher than what we assume, it could be 2. If it's set up originally as 4, you know, maybe it could turn into 3. Sometimes if your tax base goes down dramatically, maybe it turns into 5 sales, or maybe you say, hey, I don't want to do a sale right now, I can delay the project because I want to maintain 4. You know, I mean, under no circumstances is there going to be 8 sales or 7 sales. It's structured so that you can spend all within a reasonable time, 3 to 4.
Are you the entity that works with the rating group, Moody's
Yes.
or whoever,
Yes.
and develops or oversees the correct rating? Or
Correct. You know, we generally put the book together. We work with the staff on telling them what questions are going to be coming up. Probably this time, I think that we're going to do face-to-face with the rating agencies rather than, you know, over the phone. I think sometimes that might just give you a little bit extra edge, going from maybe an A2 to an A1 or A2 stable to an A2 plus. But yes, we assist the district with all that.
Part of our recommendation is based upon the prior work that we did do with Aspen Advisors and Urban Futures in our recent bond refinance. So they arranged the credit rating interview for that refinance conference.
It's a good conference call too.
It was.
With that.
Their evaluation, I would assume, looks within the municipality as well.
I mean, Moody's and Standard & Poor's. Yeah, I mean, what they take a little bit of a look just on the district's finances, but for the most part, it's about the district's tax base, because ultimately it's an ad valorem tax, you know, geo bonds, and so even if the district went under, the investors are still going to get paid.
We've had lots of discussions about why we go through this dance in the first place. It makes 0 sense.
Yeah.
But yes, they focus mostly on the tax base. They focus on the structure of the bonds. They focus on the stability of the board and the administration. They focus also just on the district's budget. And the fact that your tax base just went up last year, we're moving in the right direction.
So our recommendation is based upon the advice that we've already received, the success of the refinance. From a due diligence point of view, we did an extensive amount of research on fees, and we're satisfied that $75,000 per sale is a reasonable fee. We literally looked at hundreds of districts that have done bond work in the last 5 or 6 years and what they were charged for the different vendors. And I would say, if anything, this is on the low end.
Any other questions?
I have a question. I just completed an ethics class at my employer. I work for the City of Santa Rosa. Your firm and a number of other firms provided a lavish dinner that I didn't fill out the form reporting on that, which I should have. I guess my question, were there other competitors there that night that provide the same service that you provide here tonight? Or was that just your firm and the bond firms? Who provided that dinner? Because ethically, I'm in an awkward situation here. If I were to vote for this, you know, that could imply some ethic type of thing. Not that your firm does a great job in that. I'm in a situation where I received something from your firm, a lavish dinner worth more than $50, which I thank you and understand. You know, you're providing it to a lot of people, but it was you and then a bond company. I know there was other bond people there.
Yeah, it was
That was in
Urban
December.
Futures and Jones. I was correct. Jones Hall.
Was it
right?
Jones Hall?
Yeah, Jones Hall.
Yeah.
This is, and I believe in discussions with Trustee Gilardi, I think something that needs to be addressed in a workshop at CSBA, because
It's planned.
I've attended a number of different dinners, I think over the years, probably trustees have, sometimes
We're supposed
it's
to
been
disclose
with it.
that.
I have, I
You?
fill out
Yeah,
forms.
well, I didn't.
And, you know, I think that it's the concept of whether or not that there's pay for play taking place.
Sure.
And I think this is a great discussion to have, because our relationship and whether or not we contract with Urban Futures needs to be based upon the quality of their service, their fees, and what we expect to get from them in that relationship. I can say certainly ethically, I've been taken out to dinner by firms that I've never done business with and probably never will do business with. So
Part of it, if there were free vendors that all took me out to dinner, I could understand.
we can arrange this.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I've been taken out to dinner by other financial advising firms, some of whom
Yeah.
I've worked with in the past,
So
and
just
some
the
of whom I've never
700
worked with
thing,
again.
you know, I can lose my job, you know, at the city or not there.
In fact, at the prior CSBA conference, we were taken out to dinner by Caldwell Flores.
And if any of you have seen the newspaper lately, there were some coworkers of mine that got a lot of press, you know, for saying what type of ethics.
That's why there's a lot of confusion throughout the state. That's why CSB is planning on doing a workshop on this.
And I think isn't the law say that it's up to like $450 or $400 something?
No, I think it's $50.
There's different, I think it depends on what office you're in.
Is that what it is?
role you play.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Have a motion, please?
I move we approve the agreement for financial consulting services with Urban Futures Incorporated. The amount of 75, well, no, there's no amount.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain?
Motion carries 4-0. Item 12E, approval of agreement for investment banking services with De La Rosa and Company.
So one of the advantages then of having Urban Futures involved with Greg is that his responsibility to us, his fiduciary responsibility, is to also give us advice and consent on who we use as an underwriter, and making sure that those fees are competitive. And he can talk about that a little bit, and I can also say what due diligence that we did establish.
Yeah, so the superintendent asked me to take a look at the contract and look at what they're proposing to do and what their general fee is. The general fee, how underwriters work, they work on a percentage. So they get paid based on what the total amount of the bond is when you sell it, not the overall percentage. And so the De La Rosa's fee is a not to exceed of, in the business we say $10 a bond. So if you're to do a bond for $10 million, they're going to make $100,000 on the sale. That's the most that they could possibly make. But what our job is to do is, number one, look what the original fee is compared to generally what other districts are paying in Sonoma County. And the average, I'd say, in Sonoma County of a not to exceed fee for most underwriters is about $15, even sometimes we've seen $20, $15 down to $11 or less. And so our job is, when the district is successful with the bond measure and you're actually getting down to selling the bonds, we need to take a look at what are the comparables of all the other school district bonds statewide, what are underwriters getting paid for those bonds, and we have to compare them to what type of structure you're using, what type of rating you have, once again, the size of the bond, and we take all that together, and then that's what we determine. We tell the administration, this is what I believe the fee for the underwriter should be. So on paper, everything looks great right now.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve the agreement for investment banking services with De La Rosa and Company.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain?
Item 12F, acceptance of gifts and donations to schools and districts. We have a monetary donation to Evergreen from Roger and Deborah Schwenke for $1,000. We have a monetary donation to Evergreen from PG&E Corporation on behalf of Fred Sincera for $288. We have a monetary donation from PG&E Corporation on behalf of Heidi Ingram for $75. At Lawrence Jones, we have a monetary donation from Craig Davis for $500. And a monetary donation from the Lawrence Jones PTSA of $10,000. Total donations were $11,863. I sincerely appreciate the donations that were made. And, thank those people for making those
Very much so.
Can I have a motion?
Move we accept gifts and donations to the schools and district.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, future agenda items.
A couple. With our energy savings thing that we're doing, see a lot of things are going in Creekside. When is a good time that we can see some measurement of cost of energy savings? Is it going to take another 6 more months before we can see some? Because looking through the warrants, I see the big chunk that we send, PG&E and stuff, and I don't have any measurement of, without going back and what it was last year, what it is this year, and what we saved. So I'd like to see that sometime in the future.
Maybe we'll do that in October. I don't think, for September, we've got a lot of start of school things.
No, I understand that, but I just, I don't know when is a metric time frame.
I think probably two different, concurred at the same time. I had a discussion with the center district representative today,
Okay.
and so we need an update on that overall center district savings program. The main hang up there is still water. We're paying too much for water. And then connected to that, but also separate, would be looking at how much we're saving at Lawrence Jones, specifically based upon the mechanical changes. So we have the center district behavioral changes district-wide, and then the specific mechanical changes at Lawrence Jones. We could probably give a snapshot update, for instance, compare from, the month of one year to the last, and look at how weather might impact that. But we'll probably have to track that over the course of time. We'll see. But both are important, absolutely.
Because they showed us some cost savings projections.
Right.
I just want to see how we're tracking.
Right.
On that.
And to give Lawrence Jones a chance, you could wait a couple months or so.
At least, because we're just,
You need-
that project is
Yeah, you
just
need-
lining up, so.
We probably need a 6-month window at least. And the other one was, we did some investment for enrollment, to try to make sure that kids come to school and stuff. Do we have any results on that, on attendance? How that's paid off?
It's always difficult to know what would it otherwise have been. So,
We did survey and meet with all of the office managers
Okay.
to get their impression. Overall, the response was positive. I think once they understood how the automation would benefit them, where their time would be better spent connecting with parents rather than folding, stuffing, and stamping envelopes. Our attendance rate has never been, it's a pretty good attendance rate. So.
And our supervisors at the ranch, what would they say?
I don't know that we asked them. We focused on the office.
So
that's who the parents call when they get the letters. They're calling the school office.
So do we plan to continue that program?
We agreed to go one more year. We were cautious about going into another year, but just the time saver of the automation is pretty significant.
Thank you.
I just want to, again, remind that we probably should set up a board workshop to discuss goals and our future to update the 2011 document, recognize that everybody's busy. I don't think it has to be tomorrow, in other words. We could probably put it off a couple of months, but we should maybe wait until we see what happens with money and some other things. It's probably worthwhile to set that meeting up at some point.
Last year, we put together a calendar of potential dates for special board meetings and conversation meetings. We should probably send something out like that for the whole year, and then target maybe for October or November a board workshop specifically on governance and goals. Does that sound reasonable?
I think that's reasonable.
And then you want a conversation meeting around counseling, I think that's important. Similar to the one we did for coaching.
Right. Others? All right. Adjourn.